Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. PTSC NESC launches yet another trade school. The Gender Affairs Minister is partnering to safeguard our children, youth and our families. Street dwellers receive birth certificates for the first time. We begin with word that steps have been taken to ensure that locals are equipped with the necessary skills and training to fill positions across various sectors. The Public Transportation Service Corporation to join with NESC yet again to bring youths under its umbrella to secure a future workforce.
The Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, in collaboration with the Ministry of Transport, have launched the PTSC NESC Trade School and Workforce Assessment Center, as well as the Heavy Equipment Technician Apprenticeship Training Program. The facility, which is located at the PTSC compound, Citygate, Port of Spain, will see persons receiving the relevant skills and training to fulfill the country's technician needs, especially at the PTSC. The apprenticeship training program was launched in Tobago and currently has 17 persons enrolled there. Meanwhile, in Trinidad, 15 young persons are undergoing training. Such programs ensure that participants who may not be academically inclined spend between 50 to 70% on the job and the remainder of the time attaining vocational training in a classroom setting. Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, Senator the Honourable Fazal Karim, thanked the Minister of Transport, the Honourable Chandra Sharma, for collaborating on the initiative. Minister Karim described the centre as being relevant and necessary for ensuring that a skills gap does not exist, especially in light of Minister Sharma's comments that there is a global shortage of skilled people. The Minister of Transport urged the participants to make a concerted effort to benefit from the program to the best of their abilities. A similar apprenticeship program, trade school and workforce assessment centre is expected to be launched in San Fernando in the near future. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Trinidad and Tobago can look forward to a society that not only looks after its own, but displays the respect that every human being deserves. This as the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development continues to make strides in its effort to increase its reach to those in need.
The Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development is continuing to foster better relationships with civil society. Recently, the ministry held a civil society meeting at the Petrotrin Staff Club facility entitled Partnering to Safeguard Our Children, Our Youth and Our Families. It was attended by non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, and faith-based organizations, among other key stakeholders. According to the ministry's permanent secretary, Mrs. Sandra Jones, the purpose of the meeting was to identify gaps and challenges faced in service delivery, identify the constraints in respect of the various programs delivered by both civil society and the ministry, identify strategies and solutions to achieve success, and to link both the needs of the ministry and the civil society based on the ministry's National Strategic Plan for Child Development Policy, development programs and projects. Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Senator the Honourable Marlene Coudray, recognized the civil society members for volunteering their time and services for years, assisting those in need.
We have to try to get away from and really treat the children like children and nurture them and really provide for them. And you are the people who have been doing this voluntarily on the outside. And we are hoping to utilize your skills, your talents, your commitment, and your goodwill to support not only the children, but the young people and our families, the mothers, the women, the men.
The Honourable Minister used the opportunity to address the concerns of the workers at the Presto and Chatham Youth Development and Apprenticeship Centres, which fall under her ministry. She says some $16 million was being spent on recurring expenses for salaries and wages, and the camp was not operating at full capacity.
But what we saw in terms of expenditure is that the recurrent expenditure is not going down. So you're spending money for goods and services as though you have full capacity, and what you have there in reality is far more, less than 25% capacity. And I'm saying to PS, if we took this money, we're not sending home anybody, but you have recurrent services. So if you take this money and give it to the struggling NGOs on the outside, I'm sure we'll be able to do a lot more and reach a lot more people and a lot quicker than we are doing at the ministry.
Minister Kudri also spoke of the gender policy, which she says Cabinet is not yet ready to approve.
The policy is not the property of this minister or any other minister. What informed that policy is a lot of hard work from the technical staff of the ministry, from the committee that was put in place to review the policy, and all the people over time who have been making a contribution to the work of the ministry. So that policy belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of people, in terms of the faith-based and other organizations, had indicated that they had not been consulted at all or not been properly consulted.
She says, as such, everyone needs to have their say, and in that regard, the country should not rush its implementation. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
After the break, street dwellers have a reason to celebrate. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Ministry of the People and Social Development is making every effort to help restore some kind of normalcy to the lives of former street dwellers. This as the ministry distributed some 15 birth certificates to former street dwellers. Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. Glenn Ramadasing, says these men spent their entire lives with no identity.
Almighty God works in mysterious ways, His wonders to perform. And not only are we giving the birth certificates to our gentlemen who are finding their way back to life, to a better life, but also a new development takes place in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. And indeed, when I asked and invited Minister Ramada to join me in the ceremony, I was not of the full knowledge that that bill was going to be laid in the Parliament. But it's a very timely period for us to do this, and it goes to show that not only is it that we are giving a new lease on life to our citizens.
The minister says oftentimes we look at the homeless and forget that they are people too. People capable of feeling, people capable of enjoying the same human rights that we all take for granted. The minister says the handing over of birth certificates was part of the transformation process toward independent living.
This measure is part of a transformational process towards independent living. By receiving a birth certificate, these men can now apply for a job, can receive social welfare grants, and can purchase an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy S3. But I want to tell you, the best phone is the CPAP phone. The possibilities are endless.
While at Transformed Ministries, the men received anger management, counseling, and learned financial literacy. Minister Ramadasing says they were also trying to find their families so they can get further support. He disclosed that 20 persons will graduate from the ministries and head to the Piparo Empowerment Center, where they will undergo a 6-month intensive training program and begin the reintegration process.
So they are very much still under critical care and attention at Transform Life. And I congratulate them for their demeanor, poise, and the fact that they are so well, decked, and they are so well behaved and amenable to the whole function. So they're doing well.
After receiving their documents at the ministry's office, few of the men who spoke expressed their gratitude, as they were looking forward to gaining their independence. The Solid Waste Management Company Limited, SWIMCOL, launched its Community Youth Outreach Program at the Williamsville Secondary School. MP for Princess Town, Neela Khan, was among those attending the function and spoke about the importance of waste management. MP for Princess Town, the Honourable Neela Khan, says one of SWIMCOL's roles in supporting local government's management of community waste is to educate and inform communities on ways in which they can help to control their waste and protect the environment. She believes that education is critical for promoting sustainable development and improving the capacity of the people to address environment and development issues.
Let us not encourage illegal dumping. I remember putting up a sign in Periyong Road. There is a particular ground called Robinson Recreation Ground in Periyong Road. That was a illegal dumping haven. And I remember as a local government councillor when we put the sign up says, no dumping. Persons came and dumped on the sign. There's a big sign there that says no dumping, but people will take their dump and dump it on the sign.
Ms. Khan says it is time to remove that culture and behavior of littering and dumping garbage on the streets. She says citizens must take responsibility for their waste and discard it in a proper and decent manner.
And you know what is the sad thing about it? We throw things through our car doors, through our windows at home. We pelt things through our doors. And the sad thing about it is when we go abroad, we very well adhere to the rules and the regulations of a different country because we know that the penalties are there and the penalties have been implemented. And you understand what I'm saying here today.
She explains one of the ways in which the issue can be tackled from a community effort.
You can have your councillor ask for the use of a skid. A skid is a very big garbage pan. Sometimes it's made with steel. Sometimes it's made with steel rods. It's made with galvanized. There are 30 houses in the streets. They will all dump in that particular skid. And twice for the week or so, or even on the garbage disposal days, the truck will, of course, come and clean those skids. So it can be an initiative of local government through your councillor. You can also speak with your councillor and ask them to implement such a skid in your community.
The main objective of SWIMCAL's Community and Youth Outreach Program is to sensitize communities across 14 regional districts of Trinidad and on the importance of proper waste management and sustainable environment practices. The program will be disseminated via film and other audiovisual presentations in suburban and rural communities that have been identified by the regional corporations as having critical environmental pollution issues. Up next, finals of the biggest football competition scheduled for this Friday. Stay with us. Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago will see heavy footballing action on Friday night as the finals of Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation FA Cup will take place at the Atto Bolton Stadium in Couva.
It's old versus new as TNT Pro League veterans Neil and Massey Caledonia AIA take on Pro League newcomers Central FC in the finals of the TTFF FA Cup competition. Both teams are going into the match expecting a victory, and debutants Central FC refuse to be overwhelmed by the success they've achieved in their first season thus far. Managing director of the club, former Soca warrior Brent Sancho says the success instead falls right into their plans for the club.
We're very proud to be in the finals. As mentioned by Coach Mo, we are coming to compete, obviously, money or no money. For us, we want to, and as I said, when we started this, our ambitions was to finish in a top 5 position in the league and be part of at least one cup finals. So far, we've made it this far. We are going to put our best foot forward. I know Coach Fennick have had numerous conversations over the weekend and obviously yesterday about the cup competitions, and our preparation has been extremely well so far, and we'll continue to prepare. As mentioned before, we've played Caledonia earlier, I think a week or so ago, and getting a positive result. But when it comes to cup competition, we are well aware that it brings out a different type of animal out of most players. So we are looking forward to the finals, as I mentioned before, and we're hoping to get a positive result on Friday.
Although as defending champions, Caledonia are slight favourites to retain the title, Coach Jerry Moore says the match holds serious importance to them and they aren't prepared to take it for granted.
For us, this is a very important tournament, and our preparation has been going well. We've been putting all the hard work. We know it's not going to be an easy game because Central have a new coaching staff, and we know he's going to prepare his team. that is Coach Fennick, and he also won this tournament. So for us, we are not leaving no stone unturned in terms of the preparation, because we understand that success is preparation meets opportunity, and this is a good opportunity for us on Friday to go there and win another title. Okay, so whether it's money involved or not, for us, we want to go there and play for the points. We want to win the title. If winning wasn't important, then we would not have kept scoring the games. We would have just been playing for fun. And the fact that it has something at the end of the day, I think we're going to go there and give 110% to get the victory.
Meanwhile, Caledonia captain Stefan David says his teammates refuse to consider themselves favourites, but maintains that the team is brimming with confidence going into the game.
We're not underestimating Central FC because we know they got a good coach, they got a lot of good players, but we are confident we're going to play our game plan, and we're going to be very confident going into the game.
The midfielder says they have identified the threats on Central's team, but will not alter their plan to suit individual players.
Really focusing on no one in particular, but we know they have some very dangerous players like Marvin Oliver, Peter Byers and those guys, but we're going to play our way, and come Friday we're going to deal with it how it comes.
Central FC midfielder Mark Leslie says although the team is on the brink of history-making success, there seems to be no pre-match jitters or nervousness in the camp. Instead, that energy is being directed elsewhere.
I do think so. This week the training sessions were pretty intense, with a lot of focus on detail towards playing against Caledonia. We all know Caledonia is a very good team, and they have had past success recently. We just look forward to trying to win the trophy for ourselves and doing well in the final.
Leslie expects the game to be a tight one and offers his thoughts on the possible result.
Well, the last game was between us, which was about a week ago. It was pretty tight. So I expect it to be a very close game again. I'm not looking for more than a 1-0 margin in terms of victory, to be quite honest with you. But who's to say? Anything can happen in FA Cup football.
I hear him, but I wouldn't place any wagers on that scoreline. The finals kick off at 8 p.m, but action starts as early as 5:30 p.m. with the national under-17 squad facing the W Connection reserves. Gregory McBurney, News 4 Sports.
When we return, good news for persons with disabilities. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Greater financial support and assistance. That's the assurance being given to persons with disability. The assurance comes from the Ministry of the People and Social Development as it moves swiftly to ensure that persons with disabilities are well taken care of.
Cerebral palsy continues to plague the lives of many in Trinidad and Tobago, a fact that is not well known across the public due to a lack of sensitization. However, President of the Cerebral Palsy Society, Mr. Philip Metiver, is calling for a greater partnership with physicians in this country.
What we need is more involvement with the therapists in this country. We need them to partner with us because we are not in this business to, knock anybody. What we need is we need help for our kids. That is what it's all about.
The Cerebral Palsy Society has been in existence for 12 years, having started as a group of parents who were brought together for the common goal of seeking the best help possible for their children. Mr. Metiver says the Cerebral Palsy Society is trying to sensitize the public about the disorder, and thus far the Ministry of the People and Social Development has rendered much assistance. Miami-based pediatric physical therapist Mr. Martin Carrillo came to Trinidad and Tobago to help locals understand the best way to work with children who have the disorder.
We have been coming to Trinidad for the last 11 years, trying to help the society, the Cerebral Palsy Society of Trinidad and Tobago, with all the needs that they have, with some of the needs that they have with their children and their families. And we are a very family-trained, oriented approach. We want to train the families to deal with these children in terms of positioning, equipment, exercises, feeding, sleeping, bathing, all the chores that the families have at home with these children, and of course, intensive physical therapy that is needed.
Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. the Honorable Glenn Ramadar Singh, made a commitment to increase the subvention to the society so that more outreach programs can be held.
In fact, indeed, I want to pay homage to my honorable ministerial colleague Prakash Ramadan, who gave $5,000, and we gave $5,000 from Caroni Central, so you would have this. Today, you have your own check of $74,000 from the Ministry of the People and Social Development. And I want to make a commitment to Dr. Carrillo that we will do everything in our power. We will go to Cabinet seeking to quadruple your subvention so that you can have this activity 4 times a year. And therefore we are looking to go to Cabinet to get for you just in the region of $300,000 to continue the work.
He says internationally there have been major improvements in the care and treatment of cerebral palsy patients, and Trinidad and Tobago should seek to benefit from the improvements and new research around the world. The Honourable Minister also made mention of an $11.5 million facility in Carson Field, which is being constructed by his ministry to assist persons with disabilities. Meanwhile, Public Relations Officer of the Cerebral Palsy Society, Shamla Maharaj, called for equality in terms of the opportunities that are afforded to persons with disorders.
If society enables us our independence through aid, through facilities, we would be able, you wouldn't see us as a disabled. You would see us just as a different person in society, being unique. Right now, for example, I am working at the National Agricultural Marketing Development Corporation. Southern Wholesale Market, and to show a prime example, I'm there and no one sees me as a disabled. They would give me responsibilities and duties just as anyone else. They won't question my ability or anything.
Persons wishing to lend support to the society can call 716-0116 or 461-5113 to get more information. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.